we're live, and you guys have been live for a few minutes as you guys discussed, different things and stuff like that. So I want to welcome the audience to you guys, and then I would like to say you guys, I really appreciate you guys accepting my invitation to come on Street Dance Roots, where we talk about your history, and I try and let everyone know that I'd rather not talk about politics of dance. But if you have something within yourself that you want to talk about, that be up to you. But it's not one of the conversations that I would like to have. But I would love for you guys just to talk about yourselves and how you started dancing, why you started dancing, and stuff like that. So those are the kind of questions that I would ask. And before we go, before I start introducing everyone, I just want to thank the last week's guest from last week from Bandstand. Got a great response from the American Bandstand audience that watched the show last week. I appreciate that. And all the dancers that was on with us, thank you so very, very much. Now, on to you guys. Hi, my name's Alpha Anderson. People will call me OG Alpha. And I have a great panel here tonight, today. And we have one guy that's going to be popping in any moment. But as we speak right now, I'm going to start introducing. First, I'm going to introduce Anthony Edwards. I'm pronouncing that correct, right?
Yes, you are. Very much. Yes, you are.
Great. And that was him speaking. So thank you and welcome to our platform here. And then we're going to move over to Skip. You guys know Skip from, Skip, I've known Skip as pretty much as long as I've known Don, and Don Campbell, and I've known Don since '72. So I've known Skip a long time because him and Don were best friends. And then we're gonna go to Mr. OG Ace Rock. I've heard of him, but I've just seen him, but I've never met him. So
good things, I hope.
thank you, and it's a pleasure to have you on, and you'll get a chance to tell your story. And thank you for being a part of the panel as well.
Thank you.
Last but not, well, we got Damien up there, all right? Frost, the man that I actually really enjoyed watching the video that I was putting together, because I hadn't seen him dance, and I said, wow, what creativity. And even with his own music, he created his own thing with music. So you'll be talking to him as well, and thank you for being a part.
Man,
and last but not least, the homeboy, Mr. Hugo. I've known Hugo for a long time, probably when he first started dancing. I've known him for forever, back in the day and stuff. So, and I'm proud of him, what his career has been fantastic, and I appreciate you coming on to be a part of. Really appreciate it. So, my pleasure. So, guys, what we're gonna do? We're gonna start. I'm gonna start with Anthony, and so Anthony, I would like for you to just tell us how long you've been dancing. What made you enjoy dancing, and what have you done since you either retired or if you're still dancing and stuff like that. So talk to us.
Oh, wow. So back in, I don't know, early 70s, I would say, 9, 8 years old, maybe.
uh-oh.
You are frozen.
Just the joy and the freedom. Can you hear me? Sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah. Just as a child, just the joy of having the freedom of expression to dance. And I was brought up in a household where my family were very expressive. So they gave me the room to be expressive too. And yeah, it was a way of, I guess, keeping me away from the guys who wanted to venture out and maybe do some stuff that could have took me down a different road. Do you know what I mean? So dance became a way of keeping me out of trouble, so to speak, as a very young man. And then just the joy and the love of it and the freedom of it, it got me to a place of being creative, you know, experimenting with new fashion, clothing and stuff like that, and took you to different places where you wouldn't have went before to see different styles of dance and stuff like that. Yeah, dance for me has been a saving grace. So started dancing at a very young age. Dance took me pretty much around the world. I'm sorry I haven't met some of you guys yet, but I'm sure our paths would have crossed, if not via computer, via dance. I'm very, very much so sure. Haven't been so active for the last 10 years, but I've been teaching on and off. So I can't put a number to the amount of years that I've been dancing, been teaching considerable amount in Denmark, Norway, Finland, lots of places in Scandinavia. Done quite a lot of work.
Nice.
Wow.
Great. Are you? We give you time to say whatever you like, and you let me know when you're done. So I enjoy what you're saying. If you have any other things you would like to say, like have you danced in any groups or anything like that?
And we're credited for the first group to come from England to Denmark per se in the 80s and bring a dance style from England, and as well as our fellow Americans following our fellow American style and bringing the lock-in to Denmark and Scandinavia, basically. I danced with Princess. She had a song back in the days, Say I'm Your Number One, backing dancer for her, throughout England and Europe. Worked with Damon quite extensively back in the day, with a tap dancer named Graham Tatum, if I'm right. Graham Tatum, yeah. It's too numerous to mention, actually. It's such an elaborate question. I thought it was.
No, it's okay. I just wanted, for people to know who you are and what you have done and stuff like that. So I'm just giving you the opportunity to let people know that we have a dancer out there that some people don't know about, that is, have done a lot for dancing in your country, and that people don't know this. And so I would like people to know it, even if they're not from, the UK, even if people from the US, I'm quite sure that they're going, wow, I didn't know that. So I didn't know that. So thank you, and I appreciate it. What we normally do is that we'll talk now to each and every one, and then we come back. And if you think of something else that you would like to say, you'll get a chance.
Yeah, please, by all means, yeah.
Great. Okay, so thank you very much. And next we're going to go to OG. Mr. OG is, I know that you mainly it's a popper, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me know about your history of being a popper, when you started, and just let me know about you. Tell the audience about you and the rest of the members.
Wow. Well, let's see. I started dabbling with it in around 79, 80-ish. And I lived in La Puente as a kid. So I kind of hung around that area. I think Hugo remembers the old Skate Junction and Puente Hills Mall and Showboat era.
Yep.
And I kind of was around that whole scene there. And then I was about 14 years old, and I used to go to Gerardo Mejia's house, which Hugo was also a friend of. That was one of the first people I remember popping with before I moved to Claremont. I moved to Claremont, which is next door to North Pomona. You cross from Big Street and you hit Pomona. And I got turned on to the Groovatrons. in Pomona, which already had a group. They already had a big buzz with their name. And this is around, I would say, when I first saw them about maybe 81. So by about maybe late 82, that's when breaking and hip hop really kind of hit California, as everybody remembers, with Wild Style and Style Wars. And when those documentaries came out, everybody and their dad was trying to stop. So for a while there, I was a double hitter in the early days. I was too big though to continue breaking too long, but for a minute I was, for about a good couple of years. Then I started dancing with off and on with a guy named Eminem. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. I know Hugo remembers him. And eventually I got turned on to, like I said, the Groovitrons. The Groovitrons were a big deal in Pomona. And what I found out later was they had already had their little flavor of get down in Pomona, but they inherited a little bit of what they called Compton pop lock to a person named Noble Tyrone, who used to be a student and hang around a guy named Anthony King. So I got turned on to that flavor, and I really loved the wave style that Pomona had, and so I was highly influenced with that. So I started dancing with them in about '83, and then the opportunities started coming along. Before that, I went around to all the other spots that I'm 52, and I was the baby of the crew. So I would say back in like maybe 83, 82, 83, 84, some of the main. Hello.
Now you show up, huh? Now you show up.
As usual, Jeffrey is interrupting things.
With a mask on.
You better apologize to Ace Rock for interrupting.
Yeah, because Ace Rock is in the middle of his,
Right.
his prime year interrupting. Okay, so sit back, relax, take your mask off. We're not going to catch anything from us. Ace, you can continue, Ace. Thank you.
I can't hear you. The mask
I was just going to say about
voice.
You can't hear me?
No. Talking to Deputy.
Oh, by the way, Shabadoo said to say hi to Deputy and Alpha. I told him,
Oh, good. Tell him we said hi.
I will.
That's good.
Anyhow, what I was going to say is before the opportunities came, I kind of like that era the best, where everybody, the Hollywood and Highland, the Venice Beach days, everybody sporting a jacket with their letters in the back and actually battling when there was no money involved. I love that era. I also like the opportunity era. I remember when we first started seeing poppers, any kind of street dancers, really, in music videos. That was a huge, big deal when that started happening. So, and I was happy to be around during that time. We auditioned for a movie called Body Rock, and we got into a movie called Body Rock, the whole group who was dancing together at that time. And I ended up the movie was really bad, but the memories and the people involved were really good. I think it's a good point in street dance history. I just wish that the acting and the people behind the movie would have been better. It might have been as big, as Breaking or Breaking 2, but it never did. But the groups that were involved, it's a huge part of history. You had the EBs, you had Robot Dane, and you had Skeeter Rabbit there with us. You had Groovitrons, you had the Alley City Rockers, all lockers there.
Jazzy.
Yeah, Jazzy. And then you had Ted Rock and the Blue City Strutters, who changed their name to Blue City Crew right around that time. And us, and the Groovitrons. So we were there. And then after that, I was involved in Breaking 2. Around that time, I started hanging around a lot with Shrimp and Bruno sometimes too. I used to remember going with Gerardo to the Rhythm Lounge. I don't know if anybody ever remembers that. You remember that? Back in like '83 and Hugo, and that's when you were hanging around with that guy from Fame.
Michael Del Lorenzo.
Right. And I met Michael Del Lorenzo through Hugo and Gerardo and Taco. And so that's kind of my history. Where my history differs from all of yours, though, is that after 1985, when the street scene kind of was dying, I remember I remember going to some of these clubs out there in like late '85, and circles weren't forming like they used to. You know, a year before that, a Zap song comes on, or Cameo, or any kind of get down song, boom, it happens, and you're instantly the center of attention in that whole place. And by like late '85, it seemed to be like that was dying away. And I remember somebody saying something one time behind me, saying, "Oh man, is that guy still doing that old stuff?" And I was all like, I started dancing. And being surrounded by a gang life, it was within my family and within my surroundings. It just kind of swept me up like an ocean of the sea. So by 1986, I was busted. Not dancing no more. And I was in and out of jails and prisons till 1998. So for 13 years, I was in and out, and I didn't dance at all. I got out, I had no idea that the scene had even continued. I thought it was over up until 2010. And I actually started a boxing club out here in Arizona, and moved out here. To back up just a little bit, I finally got my life straightened out and together. I did that through a men's Christian home and got plugged into the church and got straightened out. I had a family, I have 4 kids, and I turned my back on that whole lifestyle.
God bless you.
I
Yes.
got cleaned up, sobered up, and straightened out. Not that I'm a pastor now or anything like that. Believe me, I have things that I still struggle with all the time, but I'm definitely not poke checking people like I was 25 years ago. So, but back in like late 2010, I started a boxing club out here, and for my 2 sons, and I ended up having like 45 kids. And my sister asked me, she says, "Let me start a Facebook for you so that I can help you network the boxing club." And I said, "I don't do that. I'm not into computers. I didn't know anything about it." She talked me into it. I said, "I'll go ahead and do it." I did that, and I guess I don't know if anybody knows Little Caesar.
Yeah, of course.
First crew, and Shrimp. I guess they were looking for me, and they got my email, and they emailed me through that. That was the beginning. And then the third person I talked to was Geraldo. And we got back in touch with each other. And I was amazed that all these years had passed, and the scene now became an art form worldwide. I missed that whole from '86 to 2010, and I was just blown away. So immediately I wanted to go back and check it out. And so I went to one event, and I think I might even seen Uber there that first event. That was a B-Boy Summit in LA. I drove from Arizona down there, and I took a look around at everybody there, and to me it was like the old Radiotron on steroids. And I was hooked. The only problem was that I was so out of practice. I was like 25 years, I hadn't danced at all, and now I'm an old man, and my mind wants to do more than my body will let me. Like all of you guys, I definitely had the passion still in there, and I chose to try to use it along with my testimony and in a positive way. It's good, clean, fun, and I happen to be one of the people that was actually, around that era, and had a name. Not that I was the best at anything or the creator of all kinds of things, but I definitely was had a name, and was able to hold my own, and was around a lot of the best of the best during that time. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that, I'm part of that era. So that's probably why we missed each other, Alpha, because
yeah.
dance on, and I wasn't around for any of that. But thank God that I did straighten out and was able to, to get my life back together, and through the help of God, and actually be able to use that now, and helping some of these youth here, not only with street dance, but also, like I said, through my testimony. So.
Right. No, that's thank you for your story. It kind of sounds a little bit like Scooby, in a sense, because he went away. We thought Scooby was dead, most of us, seriously. And Scooby has always been one of my best friends besides Deputy. I've known Scooby probably. He was my first friend when I first came to California. So, and then all of a sudden, he was like gone, vanished. No one knew where he was. And it's funny you said that. Reason I'm bringing this up, because like in 2010 is when we got the chance to see Scooby again. And, and you said that's when you started again in 2002. And that's when Scooby realized that people, it's just like you said, Scooby said he didn't know, because he was around, but we just didn't know where. He wasn't aware of people still locking and stuff like that, because he wasn't telling people his name or nothing. And he said when he saw Hip Hop International in 2010, is when I saw it, because we all kind of saw it together, and Deputy was with us too. We all were like, wow, they're still locking, you know? So, and you're saying the same thing, how we felt. And I was, you know, I was into another world. I was, you know, working as a contractor, and you know, I was a manager at a store and stuff like that. So yeah, so it comes in full circles in different ways. But it's, you know, God bless you that you're here and you're with us. And as you recognize that you still have family here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Still, that's one thing dancers don't do. We're all family. And even if we didn't know each other, you're a dancer. That's why my street dance roots is here, because I want you to know that we're all family. And that's why I try to get everybody together at least once a week, that we talk about each other, and now we know about you, and God bless you. And you know, thank you for your story. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for the share.
Great. And well, Deputy, you're not next, but I at least got to let people know who you are. This is Lewis Green, better known as the Deputy, and he's been like, if you ever see me in pretty much anything that has to do with a group or a single, not myself, he was there with me. Just about everything that I've done, he was there, unless I was doing something by myself. So you can tell we've gone back a long ways. I taught him everything he knows.
Ponytail, I see a ponytail.
Just kidding. Well, just about. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, he'll come in later, but I wanted to at least introduce you guys to him, the audience, right? So we talked about your death before you got in, really bad things. So but before you got in,
Yeah,
we'll talk to you in a little bit. So
we knew you were going to be late.
Yeah, of course. Okay, what we're going to do now is that we're going to go to Skip, because Skip is a little different than all of us, right? So that's why I want to go to Skip in the middle of this, because even though Skip is a dancer, he wasn't like the professional dancer. Deputy, stop it. No,
My mic's not working.
Oh, it's
My mic is not working.
Are you serious?
We can hear you.
We can hear
My
you.
mic is not working.
We
can hear you.
He's breaking
It's
up.
not working.
It is working if we can hear you.
I think his speaker's not working.
Your speaker's not working. You can't
It's
hear
not working.
us.
Something's not working.
Is his computer turned up?
Hold on,
Turn your computer up.
Computer up.
because it says mute on the thing now.
Okay, you're
Oh,
okay.
okay, good.
Now-
Okay, you can hear us now?
Because it was on mute.
Okay, good. Good. So I'm not going to repeat all the things I said about you. We're gonna move on.
And they
But
were bad.
I'm just,
Just I'm the greatest. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
yeah, we know you're the greatest. Just hang back. So,
Okay, good.
all right. Okay, so we're gonna go to Skip right now. And Skip, before I bring you on, I want to give people a little bit of history about you, because since you're not Skip is a singer actually. No, that was his pretty much his career, and a very good singer. But he's a dancer like a street dancer, like we all were before we became professionals. And he just decided to go singing instead of like professional dance. But before he did this, him and Don went to school together, like high school together, not just college together. And so, and Skip, we're going to tell you his story about him and Don. And that's why he's here, and to tell you about his story himself, because his story is about street dance, because he's been around it as long as I've been around it. He's been around it. So he has a lot to tell. So he just don't have the story that Don, only reason he's going to talk about Don, because that's part of his history. Okay, and otherwise he would not be discussing hearsay stuff. Okay, so Skip, my friend that I've known forever, is your mic on?
Yeah, my light's on. And I'd like to thank all of you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to thank all you guys for your contributions to the dance world, because without you, we couldn't have done it at any of this, okay? Because I'm the guy that taught Don Campbell his first dance step. Don, you know, in high school, he was an athlete. So was I. And we ran track and we were on the same team there. And the problem there was that Don could not dance. There was another athlete who Don had a competition with, and they were really, you know, it was really a bad situation. It was, they were at each other's throats. And Don, you know, he wanted to outdo this guy in any way that he could. So the guy realized that Don could not dance, you know, because after each track meet, the school would give a dance in the cafeteria. And Alvin is the guy's name. He realized that Don couldn't dance because Don was standing by the punch bowl. Everybody else is out on the floor doing the, you know, the dances that they were doing, the funky chicken, the bird, all of that, the pearl, and Don would just stand there. So Alvin,
what year was this, Skip? What year was this?
This was 1970. See, Don was about a half a grade above me. Then they had the A and B. Okay, Don was in, in 69, Don graduated and went to Trade Tech. In 70, I came to Trade Tech, only to find that I ran into Don there, okay, on the track team. And so we hooked up our friendship again. So that's when we got into the thing where we were both sprinters, okay? So we were running in the same race. So at that time, when the school would give the dances in the cafeteria, you know, we would be out there. I'd be showing out. I'd be doing splits and all those things that we did then. And the alligator, that's a dance where, you know, not everybody knows about it, but that was a dance that Don wanted to learn. And so he had two left feet. When Alvin got a girl and danced over in front of Don and yelled at Don, he says, sucker, you're a wallflower. And Don, you know, he started fuming. You know, if you know Don fumes really hard. You know, he gets upset because he wants to be the best at whatever he gets into. So when the record had played, I came off the floor and went to the punch bowl to get me something to drink. I get a cup of punch, and Don standing there, he turned and grabbed me by my shoulders and shook me with the punch in my hand and said, "You gotta teach me how to dance." And I'm at all. I'm saying, "Don, what do you mean, teach you how to dance?" He says, "You gotta teach me how to dance." He says, "I gotta beat that Alvin." I said, "Look, Don," I said, "I don't know what you're trying to say, but I can't show you how to dance." He said, "You gotta show me." So by the next weekend, I mean the next week, that Monday, when school started again, because the party was on Friday, Don came with the same thing again. Says, "You got to teach me how to dance." And I'm saying, Don, I don't really know about teaching anybody. He says, "But I saw you out there dancing. You can dance. Show me how to dance." So in the locker room, I'm trying to show. Yeah. We went to the locker room after the track meet. I mean, the track practice. Don was there, and he's saying, "Well, show me something." So I'm trying to show him the different dances that we were doing. And Don couldn't catch on to anything, you know, and I'm saying, wow. And so I tried to explain to Don, I said, "Look, Don, the best dancers aren't doing those dances that you see. The best dancers have got their own routine. As long as they stay in time and keeping a beat, you're dancing, you know." And so this resonated in Don's head. So, okay, I'm still trying to show him those dances that he wanted to learn, you know. And so then, you know, during the breaks in college, you know, everybody would meet up in the cafeteria. They had a jukebox over in the corner. Don would go and put a coin in there, and then when a song come out, he'd get out there on the floor and try to do the steps that he could remember. But when he decided to change what dance he was doing, he would freeze and then continue after that. Then he'd freeze again. When he'd think about it again, he'd continue after that. Then he'd freeze again. And then some old wise guy over in the corner says, look at that Don, doing that old lock thing again, you know. And that was how the dance got that name, lock, because Don would lock up when he think about what he was gonna do next. Okay, then from that point, people started coming to see Don do his lock thing. You know, when he locked, you know, and they applaud him or whatever, he got, you know, praise from it. Don would see that and he tried again. He started using that lock. He'd take his, he would wear a hat and he'd throw a napkin in the air and catch it on the rim of his hat. And people would, you know, they'd clap their hands. You know, so he turned it into an acrobatic act. Okay, then he would do something and he'd split, and he learned how to split. Then he wanted that he could do the alligator, but then from that point on, Don was considered Campbell Lock. They would call him that around the school. They just, you know, in a way of, I guess, making fun. They'd say, "Hey, there's that Campbell Lock," and Don would look and he'd point at him. You know, because he wanted that. You know, because he liked the attention. Okay, so at the dances, they would have contests. Okay, so Don would never get in the contest. Okay, so then after a while, they would have a contest in the outside on downtown area. And Duzare, I don't know if anybody would know who Duzare is. Duzare he was on American Bandstand. Yeah. Okay, at any rate, Duzare and Sweet Tea, they would go and they would compete in the contest and they would win, you know, and Don would go with them downtown to the contest, and he would be sitting there just watching, you know, and see that they would, you know, get a little money. Don would need a little change too, because, you know, he was just going to school. You don't have no income coming going to school. So Don decided to sit there. Okay, one particular day, there was a girl who didn't have a partner, and Don was sitting there. She says, "Come on, get in the contest with me. Get in the contest with me." And Don says, "Wow." He sort of hesitated, but then he got in there anyway. Okay, they had like 20 people in the contest, and they eliminated everybody down to 5. And then Don was one of the 5. Okay, he was eliminated after 5, but that gave him his confidence to continue on dancing, because at that point he realized that maybe I can dance, you know. And so people were starting to pick his rhythm up. You know, they around town, people started seeing him. And then Soul Train came along. Once he was picked to go on Soul Train, here's the thing, Don said, okay, well, you know, they're going to have a contest on there. And he was going with Demita Joe Freeman to the contest at Soul Train. So Don purposely didn't tell all the rest of the guys because he didn't want any competition. So they go down to Soul Train, and they were in the finals. Once they were in the finals in the contest, Don came back and told everybody, you know, about Soul Train, because the talent coordinator Pam Brown asked him, says, "Is there anybody else that dances like you?" And she said, "Well, bring them down. Tell them to come on down." Okay, that's how we got most of the crowd to start coming down to Soul Train. Okay, so once they got in there, and Don won the contest, by the way. He took first place, and, you know, they gave him a trip somewhere or something. At any rate, Don, you know, his popularity started to build, because that was the airwaves was the way that Don was able to show his dance all across the country, because Soul Train was broadcast across the country, and people were picking up on the dance, and, you know, they weren't getting any lessons, so they were just picking parts and pieces off of it, you know, but other people had contributed to the dance. You know, Demita Joe had added some stuff, all sorts of different entities, other dance entities had put their spin on it. And, you know, Greg had stepped in, and, you know, Greg came from South Central Los Angeles, and, you know, they were doing more of a group thing out there. You know, Don, there was no group then at that time. The first group that was out there in the world going from city to city was the Soul Train Gang. That was Don Campbell, Tyrone Proctor, Scooby, Mr. X, and there was another kid there too, but they traveled with Don's blessing. Don Cornelius would send them around from city to city promoting Soul Train. Okay, but when they came back, you know, thing went back to normal because he wasn't paying them very much. That was one of Don's bad sides, I'd say, because you know none of the dancers on Soul Train were ever paid. We were paid in boxes of chicken, you know.
And a Coke.
Yeah. That, I mean, you know, but we were there because we wanted the exposure. We wanted to get out there and dance and become famous. And, you know, we all had dreams, you know, we all had goals. And, you know, mine was singing. So, you know, I would present some songs that I had written and did production on and everything and handed them to Pam, and Pam would take them to Don Cornelius, and Don Cornelius would kick them out right away, you know. And she'd come back to me and she says, "I'm sorry, Don said that that's not the type of music that he's looking for," you know, because he had a little record company, you know, he had Soul Train Records, and he was tied in with a guy by the name of Dick Griffey. So after a while, you know, that sort of discouraged me from coming on Soul Train, you know, because I'm saying, here I am trying to get noticed, and, you know, this is my best effort because I'm a songwriter, publisher, and, you know, I produce the stuff that I do. So I'm saying, well, you know, why should I be here? You know, but still I'm there with the fellas, Don and Slim, and all of them were there, Fluky, Demita, Lil Joe, and all of the whole gang, you know, that was the Soul Train gang, you know, but we were all sort of disheartened by Don because he would not give us the opportunity to express ourselves. The only way that Demita Joe got sponsored was that Joe Tex spotted her out there, you know, doing her moves and everything, and he said, he whispered to her, "I want you to come up on stage with me." And you know, when he came on, he pulled Demita out of the audience to come up on the stage to dance with him, and Don Cornelius blew a fuse. He said, "What is she doing up there?" He's round in the back by the cameras and everything, going backwards and forth, swinging his hands, telling them, trying to get her off, but she went ahead and did her thing, you know. And that was one of the most popular Soul Train shows of the era. And the reason he did that, I'm gonna tell you, was because the union, once she got that spotlight on the camera, he had to pay her. And he was upset with that. So, you know, that was the way things were. And when she came off the stage, he was actually really, really angry, you know. So you're only allowed so much airtime there. That's why the camera always, when it was on the dancers, it would just pass them. You know, it wasn't going to concentrate on you because, you know, you'd have to be paid. So that was one of the bad things about Don Cornelius. You know, he never really, I mean, in fact, he never really spoke to you. You'd come up to him and he'd turn and look at you, but, you know, he'd see you because you were the reason that his show was so popular, you know, but he never wanted to address that. He never wanted to make it seem as though, you know, you were going to rise up and become a star, you know. The group that became a star was Shalimar. Yeah. And the reason they become a star was because Don had recorded a record and they needed artists. And the Soul Train gang, the artists, the people that actually sang on the record were no longer there. So he picked Jeffrey, Jody, and the third guy wasn't there yet. They researched and found him. I don't know what's his name, Alpha?
Howard Hewitt.
Howard Hewitt. Howard was a gospel singer, and they researched and found Howard and stuck him in there, and so that's how the group became so famous. There were other groups, but they were sort of people that they handpicked, you know, for success. But the record companies basically would use Soul Train to drop a new record or a new group or what have you, and that was how Don Cornelius really became famous and made his way with the groups.
Okay, great,
Then
great, Skip. I just have one thing to say before we don't want to run out of time with everyone else, but I appreciate everything that you said. I just want to go back to one thing that you said, so that because like I said first, when it comes to like the history and politics wise, if it's a correction that I feel that I should make, I will make it. There was another group out there dancing right around the time that there was the Soul Train gang out there. It was like Skeeter Rabbit, Tony Go-Go, and the Go-Go
Yes.
Brothers. They had a group as well, and that is actually where Scooby came from, and Greg was around that group as well. So
Right.
I just didn't want to leave them out, because you said one group, but there was another group before. There was a locker group. And
well, that was the group I was speaking about.
Yeah, but
That's the
I
group that
understand, but you didn't say
Greg
Tony
came
Go-Go,
from.
and you didn't say Skeeter Rabbit. So
No,
you mentioned
I
that
didn't
was-
bring their names up. No, I'm sorry about that, fellas. If you're out there listening, at
No,
any
it's
rate,
okay. It's all good. I just wanted to be political correct. So,
Okay.
but thank you. You can end
okay.
up
One
with
more
your
thing.
final notes
One
on,
more thing.
Yeah, it's one thing. You can
That
keep
was
your final
where
notes. Go ahead.
that was where the trio came from that group that Alf was talking about. Greg brought that trio to the lockers.
Okay, great. But thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna, and I do appreciate that story. That was a heck of a story. Because some of it, I didn't.
Skipper.
I know. Good job. Good job. Because because some of that I didn't know myself, but I let people say things that, because he was around. He wasn't like one of the dancers dancing everywhere, but he was there. You know what I'm saying? That person that's there and looking at everything, watching everything, that was Skip. That's how I knew Skip. And Eddie. Eddie is
And Eddie.
another good friend of Don. Yeah, Don and Eddie was like, from to the day he died, they were like still like this.
Hey, by the way, Eddie was on the track team too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that they were really close. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You can still come back if you think of something else you want to say, but you're gonna have to make it quick when we do say it.
Okay, no problem.
But we're gonna move up to Mr. Frost. Mr. Frost, you know, I did not know who you were until a little while ago, and when I was putting your introduction tape together, I realized that how great you are, and how your dance style was a little different than the most styles I saw that people were popping. And I guess it's because you were making your own music. It's always good when you dance to your own music. It's like a song. You sing a song, and you're gonna sing it well because you made the music, you made the song. So you made your music and you dance to your music. So how can you go wrong? So it was very, very impressive. So, but we're gonna let you tell your own story, and thank you for being with us. And let's hear it, sir.
Thank you. First, before I get started, Skip, man, thank you for not just what you said, but there's been some words that my mom and my dad has been talking to me about the whole time. They're like, they're just doing the alligator. That's what we used to do at UCLA. They just doing the alligator. And so I'm like, you just said the alligator together. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me see. I was born 1965, so I'm 55 now, and so right around when I'm like 5 and 6, I was born in Los Angeles, and I have family in San Diego and Pasadena, Altadena, and later on in the Bay Area. So my parents separated really early, so I'm moving all around California, and I catch the funk bug and Soul Train in San Diego, and from day one, I'm in front of that screen with the rest of the family, and I have been trying my damnedest to try to figure out what I was seeing back then, to no avail. I was trying to lock so hard, but you know, it's just too advanced for like a 6, 7-year-old. So I was trying to do the robot like everybody else was, and you know, I was loving the Jackson 5 and stuff. Had my fro blown out just so, and yeah. So I caught the California funk wave, you know. So my folks were into James Brown, so I remember watching the Tammy Show. I remember seeing Night Train, that in this solo, and I remember just being mesmerized. And so this is like in the back of my mind that I'm thinking one day, like I'll try to do this. I've been trying to do the mashed potatoes ever since then, and in my grandmother's church, trying to, you know, try my best. So I've been dancing the whole time because my family dances, and they're into funk just like everybody in California was. So in the late 70s, I started getting really big into BMX and bicycle motocross, and I was like a sort of a freestyle pioneer in the Bay Area, and I made a name for myself. And right when I was at the height of what I was doing, I had an accident, and it knocked me out. I broke my wrist, and I was in a cast for over a year. And during this time, I got back heavy into dancing. Like all my energy from BMX went into dancing. So the popping scene at the Bay Area was really advanced at the time. Everybody were doing a different style of waving that I had ever seen anybody else do. And so I was trying to get on this newfangled thing that everybody was doing. And I made a name for myself. And in the early 80s, I guess that's the first time I met you, Hugo, right? You were coming up to the Bay Area. The fact that I also lived in Hawaii made me connect with some of my Samoan, Filipino, and South Polynesian, South Pacific people in the Bay. So I met up with a guy named Kalani Young, who was also helping me pop, which got me in contact with Quick Style, which connected me to Blue City. And at some point in the early 80s, I go down south to LA on Hugo's request. He says, "You got to come down here." And I'm like, okay. And they showed me around. I was at the Palace, got a chance to meet everybody. And let me see, met Taco when he was in the Bay Area.
Yeah, we went
The
up there.
promotional tours for the movie for Breaking at the time. Him and Shab were at the San Francisco Ballet Company, and I was one of the San Francisco Ballet Breaker people crew. So I was I was up there with the sort of popping echelon, so to speak, in the Bay Area, and I was waving. Waving was my thing, and so when I went south, I saw people that knew how to really pop. So I caught on to that, and tried my best to do that thing. But I was really impressed by the waving scene that was going on. Like, I remember Gerardo being really smooth, you know. Hugo, you've always been ahead of your time, you know, your footwork. I remember seeing Cool Pockets on Young Turks, you know, for Rod Stewart. You know, I was paying very close attention to what was happening. And I was very into the Bay Area styles. So around 85, when you mentioned Ace Rock, that the scene was dead, the scene was dying. And I lay witness to this. That's exactly what was happening. 85, right around the time crack came to town, the dealers became the new stars, and we were on the ground. We were getting dirty, and it's like, you still getting dirty, you know, like, and all of a sudden we didn't have that cheese, you know,
Right.
and I was like, okay, and just by chance, somebody, a lady had seen me and Lonnie Green Pop-Tart at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. She asked us to do a show in France at her hotel, performing at her hotel. And my dad at the time worked for United Airlines. So I flew out there. Lonnie didn't go. And I went out there, and I saw that there was opportunity. You know, people really appreciated what I was doing. My girlfriend in the Bay Area was Swedish. She'd been telling me to come to Stockholm. I never thought it would happen. But then I find myself in France, and I'm figuring this is just a hop and a skip, right? It's only this far on the map, right? So, so I go up to Stockholm to meet her parents, and there was so much interest for what I was doing that it just became apparent that this is where I need to be. And so I get homesick for the Bay, go back to the Bay, and I'm like, hey, everybody, what's happening? And they're like, nothing. Like, what are you doing here? You made it out. Like, you really need to go back. And I was like, wow, okay. And that was it. And so since then, I've been in Scandinavia and traveling Europe. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Anthony Edwards there, who at this time when I first saw, he was doing a different brand of locking that I had seen, because he was mixing what I remember, you know, from California with other things, other timing, other styles meshed into this. And it got me interested in locking again. And there's a lot of people from the UK that were very, that knew their history. And of course, Jeffrey was out there. And I just stopped. I kept going while everybody else had stopped, and I was teaching people, and that just kept rolling. It snowballed and it snowballed, and I developed, and eventually I got to a place where I was the cat. And if people wanted my services or something like it, they basically had to come to me to get it. And yeah, and I've been teaching, doing shows and bunches of groups, and ever since. But grace of God, you know. So that's my story, and and I'm still shaking a leg. I haven't retired yet. I'm still obsessed. I'm still upset, you know. So.
Oh, this is fantastic. Thank you for your story, and you know, that's an amazing story. Everyone seems to know the idea that, you know, that things happen and then it died, and then all of a sudden it bloom again, you know. And I found that by talking to b-boys, to hip hop people, and to poppers and lockers, it all, like, somewhere in their career back in the day, if you were back in the 70s, it kind of dipped a little bit and then came back. And I'm proud to say that all of the, especially around the world, all of those dance styles are still happening. Popping, locking, b-boy, everything is like back in full force. You might not see it in the US like you see it in other countries, but in other countries, they are there, that's for sure. And one other thing I want to tell, because you guys keep mentioning his name, you guys keep mentioning Gerardo's name, right? And you know, Gerardo worked for me about almost 3.5 years, and at the Palace, for the Palace Dancers. And he'll be with us next week, by the way. The whole Palace Dancers will be on the show next week. The girls, the guys, Marvin, everybody, Flame, and Cindy, the whole gang. We might not, the only person that might not be with us is Kat. I don't know if you guys knew Kat. I know you know her as Kat, the one from Prince. But Kat used to be at the Palace for that length of time. I hired her there, even though she didn't dance with the group, but she was so powerful, I just let her do her own thing by herself. Because she was so, it's Kat. Kat was like off the hook. So, but anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know that he will be here next week. So check him out. And so now we're gonna go to one of my closest friends, and that I kind of like. We're like we used to be like the Three Stooges, like Deputy, Lionel, and Alpha. Everyone knew us.
They were the Three Stooges too.
I was like the quiet one. They were like the high energy one. More like, I'm sorry for them. but anyways, they've been my closest friends for all these years, and it's my pleasure to introduce one that's been around me the longest and closest. And even though people know Scooby-Doo was part of my life, but these two guys have been more in my life than Scooby, even though Scooby was my best friend and still is. And Deputy, it's a pleasure having you here, and I'm glad you accepted my invitation to be in here, brother. Love you, bro.
Thank you for how you guys doing? Sorry I'm late. And Damien, I'm glad you brought up James Brown, because I think James Brown was probably the biggest influence of a lot of our lives, starting back in the day. Started like you, I when I was a little kid, I used to dance for cool. That's how I made my little extra change when I was a kid, and never knew it would blossom into a career. You never think of nothing when you're that small. So I did the same thing like Skip said, did splits and all that crazy stuff, and people thought it was fun, and they just give you a little change. So my whole story started out with my other best friend is not here. His name's Lionel Douglas. We're from back east, and it started out to where we had this vision that we wanted to come to California and get away from a small town. My three reasons to come out here was to actually see Soul Train, not be on it, see Soul Train, the beaches out here, because back east, sorry, Mom. So that was the three things that interested in coming out to California. And when we finally got out here, we didn't know we were going to stay. It turned into a lifetime deal. Started going and watching Alpha, Scooby, Denny Terrio, Camelot, all those guys in a club called the Grand Hotel in Anaheim. And we were too young. We were too young to go as far as get in, so we had to get fake IDs, the whole thing. I'm sure everybody had a fake. We had to get fake IDs to go in there and watch these guys. And we would just on Soul Train, so we never saw it on purpose. So we were like thinking, man, these guys, what the heck? These guys are doing stuff that should be breaking their bones and defying gravity and stuff like that. So we kind of came to the club just to watch for the longest time. And then Alpha, Scooby, and I think Denny did a contest one day, and me and Lionel snuck a video camera into the club, and we actually filmed them. So we wanted to see, the breakdown, what's going on. Is there any tricks in this, what's going on? So we kind of did that for a while, and then Lionel met up with a guy named Ace. A lot of you know Ace, Alpha does, but a lot of guys don't know Ace was like the dancers that I first met too when I came to California. Him and Lionel got together doing skits together. Lionel would come home and bring like $300-400 home, and I'm like, dude, we're selling drugs. What the hell? Well, they used to have contests because me and Lionel did the same jobs. So he'd come home and have a ball of money, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? Man, you got a good place. They're giving away money. So I'm like, okay. When they say giving away money, I didn't know you had to dance work, right? So I get down there, watch them in the contest. They'd have first, third, sometimes it'd be 150, 75, 50. And that's good money for being cash. Only 18 years old. So that was good money. So Lionel said, man, you got to try this. Now, you got to remember, I was back in school, I was a three-letter guy. I was basketball, football, baseball. It's a whole different ball game when it comes to dancing. And I found out when I went down there to get my first contest. Well, I got my first contest, guys. I swear, dude, I felt like I was a rabbit in heat. I did trying to emulate those guys because I didn't really know what it was, and I was slapping the parts of my body. Man, they laughed me out of there. I was like, what the hell? I said, this is not good. So I said, I got to do something because I know Lionel can do it. And Lionel wasn't really an athlete. He was an artist back in the day. So I said, if my buddy Lionel could do this, I can pull this off. Went home. You guys remember a show called The $6 Million Man? $6 Million Man came on. And I watched that show and I said, man, that's a gimmick right there. I said, I could do this and dance and then pull, because everybody was doing gimmicks back then. Let me get that across. Was doing gimmicks. I said, let me do slow motion, put this into my little dance. Let's see what happens. And sure enough, when I pulled that off with Lionel and Ace, everything changed for me. I mean, literally, the dance world changed. I started winning contests, winning money. I actually worked for 3 years just on an income from just contests. And Alpha laughs at me because I have a book that has all the dates and the times of the contest that I won, because I was afraid IRS would come back and get me one day. So I needed to have something. So if they
still might.
I said, look, yeah, I said, look, this is where I got this money from. I don't want you all thinking I'm selling drugs. That's where it came from.
He's telling
To
the
this
truth.
day, I still have.
He has it. He
Yes,
has it.
I still have those right now. So I wish they would try to come back and get some of that money now. But anyway, so what happened is I started dancing in contests. I went to a club with Alpha called Chippendale. It was called Destiny 2 then.
Destiny 2, yeah.
And the one time I couldn't make it, I did Destiny 2. They got a call from the vice president of a Central Cast called Carl Joy. And Carl Joy called Alpha, me and Lionel, and we started doing TV and movies. And we did that. We must have did over 100 different TV shows and movies. But in the meantime, when that all happened, I went on Soul Train only a handful of times, trust me. That wasn't my show. I mean, I went on there because I wanted to prove that I could get on Soul Train, and we had to sneak on Soul to get on Soul Train, and got caught a bunch of times, got kicked off of Soul Train. So that was actually a stepping stone for my career. After that, my career blew up. Started traveling all over the world. Met a fantastic choreographer, Anita Mann, that kind of took us under her wing like we were her babies, and put us in all kind of shows. We started dancing over the world. The last tour we did was in Germany with the Harlem Globetrotters, Wayne Newton, Green, and a bunch of big stars, and the career just blew. Like you guys said, everything comes to an end. So for some reason, dance, I don't know what era it was, Alpha, dance just kind of slowed down and just kind of stopped. Like we were like, okay, it's all dried up. So we were doing TV and stuff like that, but the dance world kind of dried up. So before it dried up, I had a t-shirt business that I've still been doing to this day. So I've been in that over 20 some years. I've had my own business. The shirt that Skip has on, that's one of my tees I did. And I've been doing these right now. You can see these are the Soul Train masks. I've been doing these. That's my job now, along with, yeah, and in there they come in different colors. They come in different colors. So, like, you go to my,
Hey, how about when you
Go ahead, get that commercial in there.
how about when you guys dance with the lockers?
Get it in there, baby. And then you got to go to, hit me up on Facebook, Little Stephanie Green. Then also, after that happened, 3 years, when the locker stopped dancing in 76, I think it was.
Yes, it was.
Don did not want the group to stop.
Kareem, you have
He didn't want the group to stop. Don wanted the group to continue.
Kareem.
So he contacted Lionel Alpha. Oh God! At that time, there was a girl named Doreen that we still can't find today. Stan Rodarty. Who else, Alpha? Who else danced with the second group?
The first guys Don reached out to was you and myself and you and Denny Terrio and Doreen and Tony Gogo and Slim
And Slim.
and Don. That was the
Slim, yeah.
first
Yeah.
generation, and then later on Lionel came in and Stan came a little later as well. But the first
Right.
of everyone was those 7 people.
Don't forget about Denny Terrio. He was in it too.
Right, because Denny
Mention
Terrio had his own show. Denny Terrio had his own Dance Fever. It was kind of crazy that we were doing a photo shoot. He got the call in the middle of the photo shoot and left us. I mean, he literally left, and we never saw him again. And he went on to do Dance Fever. Well, Don's so funny because I love that guy. Don is like my inspiration. Don said, man, white guy. We got to get a white guy, dude. So that's where Stan came in. So Stan replaced Denny Terry, was the white guy.
Yes.
Because if you know back in the days, a lot of times you had to have a Caucasian or a white guy to get in the door. So that got us into the door, like the Playgirl Club. I mean, stuff like that. I know it's
Mexican, you know, so we just want you to know that. He's not white. Stan is
he's Mexican white, because if he's lighter than us, he's white, okay? I don't care if he's Italian, whatever. You go,
correct.
no offense. No, you no offense, but if you went somewhere, consider you white, bro. I know you're not white, but that's what they consider you in this world. White. Sorry, that's what they see. You see what we're going through nowadays. So anyway, so we got it, and literally, I think we danced, what, Alpha, 9 or 10 years with that group?
Yeah,
And-
mostly like traveling
Definitely.
shows, not TV, but we did a lot of the
Maybe
fairs
live
and
show.
a lot of live shows.
Farm, Disneyland, those
Yeah.
sort of things.
And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that it wouldn't have continued if Don wouldn't have put that group together that we had and we danced as long as we did. It would have died a lot quicker
Definitely.
because there was no one else around. So once he got that group together, it kind of, the longevity of the lockers kept going on, and then it kind of changed, and boom, overseas. I mean, it went crazy overseas, totally went crazy with locking. I mean, it turned into a whole different venue over there. And by that time, you know, we had got out of it. You know, me and Alpha and all the rest of the guys kind of had died out, and we got out of it. And we just went back to our regular jobs. Like I said, Alpha.
Oh, you
had a
guys
contracting
were doing
job.
those clubs in Orange County. You guys did a bang up job over there. All those clubs.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
promoting.
Yeah, promoting those
Yeah, we
clubs.
did. Yeah, we did that too. Thank you, Skip. We did promoting after we started doing nightclubs, and I think we did every club in Orange County possible.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
actually, the biggest one was the Hilton Hotel, and we ran that for a year until the top guys said, "Hey, wrong skin color. We need to bring somebody else." And they actually did. They did. They brought somebody. We sat in a meeting with them. We're from like Wisconsin or somewhere, and they said, "We want to start playing a country music." That's what they want to replace our show with. Country music. Like, dude, this ain't gonna work. 2 weeks later, they had to shut down. So that was one of the things that we did in Orange County. We kept that going on, the promotion side of it, like that. You know, it's just, I just want to thank God. I'm still blessed that I have good knees. You know, my health, I have good health, and that all you guys are around and you guys still are able to do your thing and still be able to speak on the dance world. And you know, we lost some people, you know,
Yeah.
we lost some people
Sad.
that said, and everybody has those friends that we lost, but, you know, God was ready to take them. And you know, like for instance, Don,
Mhm.
you know, so I'm just blessed to be here. Thanks, Alpha, for having the show. Thank you guys for listening.
One more thing,
Hope
Debbie.
to see you guys somewhere.
One more thing. Tell the story about Denny Terrio and John Travolta. When you called me.
Oh yeah, well,
Saturday Night Fever.
yeah. That
Saturday Night
Yeah.
Fever. Yeah.
Denny stole a lot from a lot of people to do that
Yes.
show.
Yes.
If I get into name, wow, I think Demita told me that she had something to do with it. I know Lionel taught him some stuff. Skip. But this is the funny thing about that. Denny never mentioned anybody once he got that show.
No name.
He never brought anyone on the show. Never brought any of the dancers on the show. That shows you how, you know, good things come for a little while and they go away. And it's like karma almost.
Yeah.
It's like, where's he at now?
Yeah.
So, you know, that little run that he had with that show, I think everybody on this panel had a longer run than him. Maybe not as exposed as him as far as TV, but we had a better run than him. So
All right, guys.
that's all I say, guys. Thanks a lot. You know,
Thank you, Deb. Appreciate it. Great conversation. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And just, I always want to, you know, just to clarify that the lockers, when the original lockers, which I love all the guys, I knew every last one of them. You know, we weren't just dancers, we were all friends. I knew them all, you know. Rerun lived downstairs from me along with Camelot Juniors and Scooby, like I said, was my best friend. Don, we all traveled dancing contests. And I appreciate the Locker Dance Group, the original Locker Dance Group, and I praised them. And it was our pleasure to step in when some of the guys dropped out of the group, and I enjoyed it. And thank you, Lockers, and thank Don for being there. And I always give Don praise. And he wasn't just the person that was the leader of our dance group. He was actually a friend. And I God bless his soul. And Tyrone, I know Tyrone well. And Tyrone is a great guy. If you ever met him, you have to love him. You can't hate him. He's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Tyrone was always a nice guy.
him and Don, both of them.
Yeah.
Both.
So that goes with like Shab, everyone else in their group. I have the total respect for all of them, every last one of them. And I try not to have beef with anyone. It's my goal to not have beef. And that's why I don't like doing the politics thing. So that I just want to say that. And now, last but not least, the man that travels everywhere to teach dance. Besides just teaching them, he actually have a great conversation to let dancers know what they should do and how they should do it and stuff like that. So he doesn't like just teach, like stand up and teach. He actually talked to them, and I appreciate that coming from him. And thank you for letting me come to your birthday party.
I was surprised. I didn't know what was happening.
I know, he was
Thank
so
my daughter.
surprised. His
Thank
daughter
my
called me and surprised him like crazy when he came in. That was good. Okay, and that person is Hugo. Hugo, tell us about your story.
How are you? First of all, I got to say, when I came on, I was looking at everybody, and I hadn't seen some of these people in so long, you know, especially Damon. And I looked and I said, so I have to forgive me, Skip. I was like, I saw the name and it said Starcrest Hollywood. Do you remember me, Skip?
Yeah, I remember you.
Okay, because when he said Skip, I thought like, who's this popper with this black brim and stuff? And I know the last time I saw Skip always had a hat on. He was dressed up. And it's like, I'm thinking, I know all the poppers from back in the day. And I was looking, who's this guy that's popper? You look like a popper, Skip, right now. Sorry. Anyway, My apologies if I seem like I didn't recognize you or know you, but
Oh, I recognized you though. Yo.
thanks for being here.
That's
and your
'cause you-
story.
you
I didn't know
know
that about you. That was beautiful. The stuff you said. That was awesome. Huh? Anyway,
You look like you're 16. That's
it's a lot of prosthetics and. I don't know. You know what? You guys all said a bunch of stuff, and I have like too much. I don't want to go. I mean, this is going down memory lane. I'm like, I have too much, and I don't even know where to go with this. I mean, all these people you guys are talking about. I was writing notes about names and history and timelines. I have history with Damon, Ace, and Deputy and Alpha with the clubs you guys were doing out in Orange County. I was there. We were dancing. I mean, I started pretty much similar to Ace Rocks. I started in '79, right before I started high school. I was not a dancer like some of you guys that didn't grow up listening to funk music, anything like that. I have a totally different background. I was an artist. I used to just draw. I was a nerd. I'd sit there and just draw. And I had these two, I have to say this, I had these two guys that were older than me in school, and they were always into the scene because they had a cousin that was a DJ. They came over one time and said, hey, there's this stuff called disco. We're gonna go check out disco. And I'm like, so they would dress me up, put an outfit on me and said, let's go to the disco party. And I had these jackets with these rolled up sleeves, and I didn't know how to dance. I would just go, and I was that wallflower. I would just sit there and check it out. And I was like, okay, they're doing all this disco stuff. But then the next time they came over, I'm like, here they come again. It's like, hey, there's this new thing called funk. They're doing this stuff, and they're popping. And I'm like, what is popping? And these guys showed me three things. They showed me the little creep over pop like this, showed me an arm wave, and they showed me what is the true moonwalk and a backslide. And I was just like,
Well,
boop, this thing happened. And as a kid, I just remember like influences, like stuff that I saw on TV before I actually started doing it. I remember seeing the Lockers on the Tonight Show. And I didn't know who they were, and I said, who are these crazy guys doing splits and doing flips and stuff? And I said, this is funky. Never met them. I just saw that. I saw the Mechanical Device on the Gong Show live, and I said, wow, that creeped me out. Actually, that creeped me out. They had the white makeup on, and I was just like, that's kind of crazy. And then I remember seeing Robert Shields. I think most people growing up saw the Shields and Darnell show.
Darnell.
And I was just amazed at how he can dime stop and robot, and it was awesome. But then, so those guys in my school, they showed me some popping, and I just started kind of getting a glimpse and trying to do it. And then, you know what, honestly, my whole starting point to like even today has been, actually, I call it a roller coaster. It was like a nonstop roller coaster. A lot of us didn't know what we were doing. We were just going and going and going. I mean, I went from, and I'm going to name drop. I mean, I went from high school learning. Well, these guys, I lived in Downey area, so Santa Fe Springs. So it's primarily white and Hispanic. But what happened was when I was in high school, what was key for me was like there was these two brothers that came from Compton, Linwood area. They moved to my city. And all we heard was like this time, everybody, there was no internet, there was nothing going on. We all know that everybody's trying to learn popping and stuff like this and like trying to get as good as you can, as fast as you can.
right.
All of a sudden I heard like, hey, there's like these two black brothers wearing these, jackets with old English lettering saying, Poppin' Magic and Puppet Rick. And they're doing this crazy stuff and making their bodies move all weird and this and that. I'm like, what? And we're just, all you hear is this talk between first, second, and third grade. I mean, a class. All of a sudden, by the time my last class comes in, I sit down. This black dude with a jerry curl sits down next to me, and I'm like, and it's the main guy in the group. And I started talking to him, and he said, I go, you pop? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, and next thing I know, I'm in his living room. He's teaching me, and these guys took me on, and they taught me in the beginning. From then on, it was crazy. Like Boogaloo Shrimp used to frequent around my neighborhood because there used to be some dance. We used to do the high school dances, and people used to dance at lunchtime outside on their breaks. And he used to come around, and one of the guys in my group used to battle him a lot at these backyard parties. There was a lot of backyard parties. Actually grew up with Kid Frost rapping at the backyard parties we used to go to in the neighborhood. He was a cat that grew up around my area. Okay, so fast forward, out of high school, some of the cats got into trouble with the law. Some people went and got jobs. And next thing I know, I'm dancing with Ice-T. I started going to the radio. Before it was Radiotron, Ice-T and I became very good friends because he used to start rapping. That's when he was starting to rap. And he would hire myself and a couple other dancers, and we used to go do shows with him. And he would rap, we would dance, and then he would come around and he used to lock. A lot of people don't know that Ice-T used to lock. So he would lock and we'd do shows. And we actually were the first original radio crew. I have a picture of us that, you know, he wrote, we used to hang out, go to his house, we used to go do shows, and I knew him very, very well. From then on, I mean, down the list, I mean, I got involved in an audition for a guy named Jeff Kutash, which I'm sure some of you guys know. I did Dancing Machine, went over to Spain for 3 months, my first time overseas. I was 18 years old. I missed out on breaking because I was over there in Spain. But by that time, I'd already befriended Taco. I met Taco, and Taco introduced me to everybody. He opened the door, introduced me to Sugar Pop, Shabba-Doo, Tony Basil, Skeeter Rabbit. And I'm on the phone all the time. What's going on in LA? What's going on in LA? And he's telling me, man, we just got this movie. And I was like, I can't go. And he goes, we're doing this movie. I'm just like, oh. And like people were telling me there's all these jobs. I mean, like what Deputy was talking about, it was just like flooded. I mean, it was like, you know, for lack of better words, like a virus that we're going through right now. It was just spreading. People were just wanting this thing. Everybody wanted it. And I remember talking to Taco when he was telling me about breaking, and I was like kind of heartbroken because I wasn't there. And then so I did a stint with Jeff Kutash, came back. 80s, early 80s. So I can't remember. Yeah, I met Damon Frost because I would go up to San Francisco with Taco a few times and different times, and we would talk. Damon, I remember Damon calling me all the time from the bike shop. You remember Damon? This guy would wake me up because I was, you know, dancers back then. You go out late, wake up late, and he's calling me. What's going on in LA? What's going on in LA? And we're just, because that was our internet, talking to people, just saying, what's going on? What's going on? And then, yeah, I finally told him, I said, you need to just come down to LA. Just come hang out. Come over here. And he came down. We went to the Palace. He danced. But what Damon didn't mention was that before he went to Sweden or Switzerland, do you remember I was supposed to go with you? It was yourself, and you called me and you said, listen, I got this show in Switzerland or something, a performance. You said it was yourself, me, and I think somebody from New York, and I can't remember the guy's name. And what happened was I was supposed to go. I said, yeah, let's go. And that was the time when Chernobyl
Yes.
Okay, so Chernobyl happened, and there was a big cloud of, you know, chemical smoke going on over there, and all they said on the news in LA was like, stay away from that area because you can get cancer and this and that. And I said, Damon, I ain't going. And then I always tell the story. I said, Damon went and he never came back. He just stayed, you know.
That Chernobyl death stuck on me, man.
we talked a few times, and I said, what are you doing? And next thing I know, I'm living here, and I got a kid, and I'm doing this, and Damon just never came. That's my story. Damon never came back. He just stayed out there and made a living. God bless him. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But for me, like I said, it just continued on. You know, once I kind of like got blessed by actually meeting some of these people, like Shabba-Doo was very instrumental. He would hire me for some jobs. Tony Basil was very instrumental. She hired me for some jobs. We did some commercials for her. We did some TV shows. You know, that's how I met Greg, was through Tony. Greg was just always there, and it's like I didn't even know of some of these people, and then I started getting really introduced to what they'd done. Shabba-Doo, I was at his house, and he was showing me a lot of the locking old footage and TV shows, and it was just incredible. I was learning a lot of history, you know, really, really quickly. Then I'm trying to think what was next. I was Damita Jo Freeman. I got when I was in Spain, I came back, and we took on the second part of the Lionel Richie tour with Lionel Richie. It was myself, Sugar Pop, and his younger brother Jason. And Damita was there. And I'm thinking like, oh, this is okay. We're all dancing together. I didn't know who she was. It wasn't until later on, Demita and myself became very, very good friends because I used to draw, and she was trying to do a cartoon TV show. So I was going over to Inglewood a lot, and I was drawing these caricatures, and she was trying to get this show done, and we were working on it for a long time. And then she helped me. Actually, she got me my first commercial agent because, as you know, Demita was doing some movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So she connected me. I got my first agent through her. And it wasn't until like later on that I, you know, through meeting some people and even seeing the historical stuff on video and things, that I said, this is Demita. That's the girl I knew way back in the 80s. And she was on stage with Joe Tex and all these different people. And it's like history. This is all history, you know? Gosh, then, I mean, I don't know where to go on. I mean, from then on, like Taco and I became dance partners. So we worked together. We were just inseparable. And we auditioned together. We did stuff together. We traveled overseas. The next thing I know, Taco was very, very close with Michael Jackson. And he actually, when we have Gerardo on next week, he called me and said, listen, can you come next week to Michael's house to teach him? He wants to learn some glides, some footwork type stuff. And I said, yeah. He goes, who can we bring? He goes, who can you bring? And I said, well, Gerardo does pretty good backslide and glides. And I was just trying to think off the top of my head. He goes, oh, okay, grab him. You're coming down. So we drove down to the Havenhurst house. That's when he was in Havenhurst, and went down there. We waited a little while in the gallery, and Michael came out and we showed him some stuff. And so that was like incredible to be able to go teach him at his house. And then shortly after that, Taco had a project with Captain EO. We still had to go audition. We went to go audition on tape, on the set at Disney. We did Captain EO with Michael, which took a long time to film, but that was like an incredible, you know, opportunity. Later on, we went and auditioned. We did a private audition for The Smooth Criminal because he had been changing different choreographers and stuff like that, and we just didn't know who was choreographing the new movie. We went. We saw the director. We actually just showed up. It was a cattle call, and I think LA City Rockers were all there too. Bunch of people. I mean, if you remember these cattle calls back in the day, I don't think they have those anymore. You got a gang of people outside, and we were like, we don't want to wait in line. We don't want to do this. We were like little prima donnas back then already. Walk up, we saw the director. We said, hey, and he was like, he remembered us. And he says, can we get a private? And he said, yeah, sure. Kicked everybody out, closed the door. We all went in. I think there's a video out there surfacing of us auditioning for that. And then we got hired. That's how I met Jeffrey Daniel, because he was a co-choreographer for that. He was a choreographer for the popping. And then it was, I think it was Jeffrey Hornaday or Vince Patterson that did the other part. The only thing that I left out between that is Breaking and Entering, which was instrumental for Los Angeles. That was in '83.
And Fast Forward.
Yeah, Fast Forward. Fast Forward was my first movie. So when you had Breaking, you had Body Rock, you had Beat Street, you had all these like dance / street movies, and then Sidney Poitier, he was directing one called Fast Forward. And you could bring this up next week. I'll tell you a little something. Gerardo, before I met Gerardo had that role that I had, okay, for Fast Forward. Because before I met Gerardo, later on, Gerardo says, I used to hate you. I hated you because you took my role. So what had happened, I had just gotten back from overseas somewhere, and Michael DiLorenzo said, hey, you're back in town? Meet me at the Rhythm Lounge. I went to the Rhythm Lounge. Sitting there, and he walks up to me, and he goes, do me a favor. He goes, go on the dance floor, in the middle of the dance floor, and just start getting down. Just do a solo. I said, why? He goes, please, just go dance. So I went, I danced, and I came back, and he goes, I gotta go. He goes, I'll call you tomorrow. He left. Tomorrow, the next day comes, he calls me, he says, I need you to come to, I think it was Sony Pictures or something. He was there with Sidney Poitier's daughter, and she was scouting for talent. And she saw me, they left, she goes, I want him for the part. So I got the part, and Gerardo got pushed to another part, and he got pissed. Well, that was the first movie that I did, yeah. But then we became friends afterwards. I met Gerardo, and you know, we've been friends ever since. I still talk to him, and it's all good.
We're just saying Gerardo, but the world knows him
As
another way.
Rico Suave, Rico
Yeah.
Suave.
I know.
And then was later on, I mean, history-wise, I mean, I still got a flyer right here. Gerardo and I, like Damon and some of you guys already said, like the scene had kind of started to die out, and I was blessed with an opportunity to go to Japan and France. We went to France, I think, first, and we did a showcase. It was myself, Jazzy J, Mr. Freeze, Sundance. We had a DJ, and who else? Yeah, Sugar Pop was there, and we did a showcase in the north of France. That videotape just got circulated, and a lot of people saw it. I remember B-Boy Storm was telling me, like, I remember that tape. Everybody saw these tapes and stuff like that, and we just, because we did a whole area of doing commercials and just doing a bunch of press, and you know, it's just Gerardo and I, after a while, and I think it was the one B-Boy Summit that Ace Rock was talking about, or one of those, I said, hey, these events are starting to show, you know, come up a little bit, let's go. We went to one, and we saw that the scene was kind of growing again in LA, and you know, we decided to put our heads together, and we put together an event that was, I think, we started, this flyer says 2004, so I believe we started like in 2000, it was How the West Was Won. We did that up at the Henry Fonda Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. We were trying to get groups together. So we were trying to bring the old school back to some of these events that were going on. I go, what can we do different than what was going on right now? Because there was a lot of one-on-ones. And I said, we want to put a crew competition battle, give away like $25,000. And a bunch of people came, man. People were coming from overseas. It was incredible. And the scene was alive again in LA, you know?
I was there.
Yeah, Skip was there. Yeah, Skip was there. I mean, a lot of people came through. A lot of people I didn't even know, like Salah went through there. A bunch of people from overseas, as well as people from the LA, you know, scene that just came back out. The Groovatrons were there. We had them perform on stage. We had a lot of people dance, you know. Skeeter Rabbit, Greg was there judging, Anna Sanchez. You had Taco, you had Wiggles, Skeet, Pete, Sugar Pop, everybody. A lot of people were there. We got blessed, you know, it was really nice. And then you know, I think things did slow down here, but I was blessed to be able to go overseas. A lot of the people that run these events overseas now were guys I used to hang out with back in the day, or were kids that were like, you know, learning when I was in Japan. And now they have studios, and they're very dominant dancers in their own right. And, you know, when Facebook came upon and other things, you get a little notice and said, hey, can you come out to Japan? Can you come out here? And next thing you know, you're all over the world, and it's crazy. And as Alpha said, and I say this, like, this is the Mecca, you know, I always give respect to the Bay Area, Fresno, LA. LA was a melting pot for popping. So LA was what got everything trickled down to LA, and it became that big mesh. That's why I think part of the reason why we have a little bit of a mess here, where nobody knows what's going on or what anything is. It's like a big mix. But if it wasn't for overseas, these people taking what was created here and cultivating it and watering it and growing it and nourishing it and taking care of it. I mean, these people, honestly, they took the dance and they respected it, and they loved the culture so much. They've made it a huge lifestyle. And it's like, honestly, without them, we probably wouldn't be here. Nobody would want to hear and talk to us right now if it wasn't for them. So I always tell them, hey, yeah. And so, but you know what, man, I mean, it's been a ride. I mean, I was just talking to my father yesterday, talking about, like, we were talking about what could have done, what you could have done, what we, you know, if you would change anything. And I said, man, if I died tomorrow, I've been blessed, because I've gone through, everybody all started doing the low level street, you know, high school, whatever. And then I went through the whole Hollywood industry, commercials, movies, stage, whatnot. I mean, just what, 2 years ago, I got the opportunity to go teach Jim Carrey popping for his movie for the Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm thinking, like, Jim Carrey now, it's like, but he was cool. I went over there and taught him some stuff, and it was actually super, super cool, because I don't get nervous around people too much anymore, but I've watched his movies since I was a fan, and I was just like, oh my God. But it's like, I cherish all those experiences, working with Michael, working with Lionel Richie, working with different people, but it's like, it's this underground scene, I mean, you know, these real street people, the kids in the studios, and teaching them these relationships. This is, to me, is super, super incredible. I mean, I got guys that I dance with now that are like, you know, 10, 15 years younger than I am, but they keep me young. You know, it's like, I love it. It's like, I look forward to the challenge. You know, I got Kid Boogie, and next day I got another guy, Art from Russia, or I got all these students that come in and out of town. And it's like, if I have the free time and the opportunity, I said, let's go, let's train. And there were students that became friends. And it's like, they keep me young. That's my gym time. I like to work out and do that. So it's fun. You know.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for your, I knew you had a lot to express out there. That's why I kept you for last. You know, I know your history. I've watched, you know, watched you grow.
But let me say something. I talk about the, you know, we all have these old friends like when I see Deputy, like I used to go, Deputy used to do T-shirts for me way back a long time ago, you know,
Yeah.
we talked about the T-shirts.
Yeah.
And it's like,
My T-shirt too.
I haven't,
Mine too.
I mean, I haven't seen Pete in maybe about a year. We were in China together, but he came through 2 weeks ago, and we practiced and we got it in. And it's like, man, it's just like, it's family, you know, when you see him, and it was fun. You know, it's like,
That's one of the good things about doing this, because even if I personally didn't experience some of the things you guys experience, it's I can relate to it, and other people sitting like me, that's a dancer, that, you know, professional dancer, they can relate to you guys' conversations as well. You know what I'm saying? Because like all the guys has been through, you guys know. Everyone has been on this, you know, every week that I do this, you guys know them. Starting from when I first brought, I think it was Demita, Scooby, and Richie Rich, and from Paris. God, he would kill me. The one locking for life.
oh, Gemini?
Gemini. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Gemini. I mean, I know him well. I apologize for just going kind of like brain freeze for a second. But they were the first ones to come on. And that's been a while ago. And so just talking from them to all the people that I've talked to ever since, I've learned so much. I feel like I've experienced everything that you guys have experienced. And the people that's watching, they're learning too. And they're seeing that dancers, we're kind of like, we stick together. You know, even though we might not see each other for years and years and years, but it's like going away and then coming home and seeing a brother or a sister, you know, like, you know, how you doing? You know, I missed you. And that's the way I feel when I haven't seen someone for a long time. You know, and people that I haven't even met and just heard of, it makes me feel good to meet them. Like meeting, you know, Anthony and also meeting Frost. You know, I haven't met you guys, but I feel like I know you guys now because of listening to Hugo talk about you. It made me feel like I know you. You know what I'm saying?
That's because Damon, he turned his back on LA. He just left and you
he left us and went to the UK. And guys,
I'm sure he did. He's doing much better than us over there.
He got smart. Went where the money was. That's what he did.
Yeah.
You go where that money
He's got his little Swiss bank account over there.
You know where that money is, man.
I wish, man, you're making it sound really good.
Before we leave, though, I just wanted to Hugo, because he is a great dancer. But if you guys haven't witnessed his drawings or caricatures, this guy's got mad talent. So I'm just saying, there's more than just dance to us. I mean, there's hidden talents that probably no one knows about us until something like this comes up. All look at us like we're just dancers. That's it. That's the only thing we've ever done. But I'm sure you guys have hidden talents that no one would know unless you say or expressed it somewhere else. So
That is
I'm
true.
glad that, you know, brought that up. And then I mean, I'm sure, Damien, like the recording thing, hey, more power to you, man. I hope that works out. I see all the equipment in the background. But if you wouldn't have, I wouldn't have known you were a singer. I'd have just thought this is just dancers on here. That's all. So now I got schooled into seeing some other stuff that I'll do just because they weren't dancers from the time they were born. This was something was created. So I'm sure, not excusing myself, I know Anthony and Ace Rock, I'm sure you guys got some other talents. I just, you know, we were just bringing up little things like that. Just, huh?
Anthony's a musician.
Who is?
Anthony.
Get on there, Anthony. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Get it in, boy. I mean, it's just stuff like that that you got to find out from people, man, that we're just not dancers, dude. We something other than dance.
Yeah, Skip
I
is
didn't
a
know Alpha was a drummer.
but drumming, I did it in high school, and I still have a drum set. I was in a band, like a band when I was in school. I used to tell people like the things, because I never drank, smoke, get high, or anything like that all my life. I still don't. And but what would get me high is dancing. When I go out to a club, I take 2 shirts. I tell everyone this all the time. And if I'm upset with like an ex-girlfriend when I was younger or something like that, I would go and get on my drum set and just go crazy. And I still, it's a frustration thing that I still do today. But like Deputy said, like I was a manager for Circuit City. Then I went to the Good Guys, and then I became a general contractor. That if I can actually build you a home. This is my life. I did that for years. I've had Deputy work for me, but I had Deputy do the parts like, okay, Dep, I got some demolition that I need to do before we build this structure. So Dep come out, we'll just go back. But that's all we did different things. That's what we did. That's what I retired from, was being a general contractor.
You guys don't know, I'm part Jamaican, dude. I do several things, dude. I have like 10 jobs. So I can do whatever it takes, bro. I'm a Jack Rain. So if it can be done and there's money involved, I'm your man.
All right, you guys. Well, since
me too. I'm a person that does a lot of things too, real estate. And in fact, I just recorded in CD. It's at Norwalk Records. You can get it at Norwalk Records. Pick it up.
Get it in there, Skip. That's what I'm talking about.
No, go Skip, go Skip.
Like that.
I wrote a book.
Norwalk
Also wrote a
Records
book.
is still there? Is Norwalk Records still there?
It's still there.
No
I know where it's
They're
at.
still doing their thing.
Really? I mean, that's what we used to go get our records. We can find
Yes.
records for Norwalk. I mean, from the 70s, man. They still there.
He's still there.
They specialize in that. They specialize in oldies.
Yeah,
Yes.
oldies,
Yeah,
yeah.
they did.
Oh my God. Hey, guys,
Gentlemen,
I'm actually gonna let you guys go because I know that like the guys, you guys up in the UK area, it's pretty late there, right? What time is it?
It's a 11:15, so we got a couple minutes before we have to tuck ourselves in.
But I do. This has been a great conversation.
It's been real. It's been an honor to hear the stories and to hear the history. And I feel honored to be a part of this panel today because some of the greatest are here, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, sir.
You all give yourself a tap on the back.
I'm
gonna make this
guys.
I'm gonna start at Ace Rock and then move around, just thanking all you guys. Ace, thank you so much for your story. I really appreciate you being honest and catty. This is like the second time that I've done this, that I had an honest panel telling the honest truth. The first one was with with Sugar Pop and the brother from Philly, and Casper. Those three. They were just so flat out, like telling the truth about their life. And when the brother from Philly talked to me, I shed a tear. I'm serious. You guys will see me doing like that in there because he was so dead honest. And thank you for expressing that. And Deb, thank you for being, telling your story as well. We go way back. So, I mean, most people know me, know you. So, and then Skip, I've known you before I knew Deb. So, so you've been around a long time. And thank you for telling your story about Don. Appreciate it, because that's real. Because, the reason that we know
from the beginning.
Yeah,
That's from the very beginning.
We know it's real because I put a tape out. I just took, if you guys ever want to see this, I took a tape and it was part of his introduction to today, but he has a whole little movie, a disc about the whole portion. That was just a little bit of it. So if you want, you can, contact Skip. He will get you the
Dark
rest of
Press
that.
Productions,
Yeah,
Hollywood.
it's a true thing that he was telling because that's the story that Don always told us, right? So I know that is true. And then going up to Mr. Frost, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate your honesty and taking us back to you told us from being 5, all the way up. So I really appreciate it because now I know that you lived in San Francisco, you came down to LA, you got relatives in San Diego, you went to Hawaii, and then you went to UK. See, I'm listening to you. So it's not like I was not listening. And thank you so much. Appreciate it. And for all what you have done. People told me to talk to you. The both of you guys, to Anthony too. They said, talk to those guys. And that wasn't the first time I heard you guys' names because I talked to a lot of people from there. And I was able to contact you guys to talk to you. Thank you for being a part.
Honored.
And yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, and also Anthony, I didn't know you were what are you? You're an artist. What do you play? Or
I'm a drummer, but I'm a vocalist as well. I've got music.
A drummer too. Two drummers here.
drummer? Right on for the drummers.
Damon as well. It's 3
Really?
drummers.
Right on,
I'm
guys.
a drummer also.
Touching my heart.
Four,
Touching my heart.
in the house. Let's start a band.
And last but not least, thank you for accepting the invitation. To be honest with you, I built the guys around you today. You're the first person that I reached out to, and I kind of like built a separate around, different people around. And then I think the next person I actually contact was Ace, because people would say that I should get in touch with him. And so, but thank you so much. And your history is like off the hook. And it's one thing I know about him that relates, that kind of like touched my heart as well, is that everyone that knows me knows that no matter what kind of work dancing I was doing, I was always working a regular job. Hugo works a regular job. He'd be traveling like, dude, how you travel all over the place and come home and still go to work? I got a regular job. And that's what I did.
You've been there a long time.
A regular job.
Wow.
Yeah, when you've been there a long time.
At your job? How long were you at your job?
It's over 25 years now.
See,
Yeah.
how can he do that?
You go right along with me. I worked 30 on mine.
That's what I'm talking about.
I worked
You know what
30,
I'm saying?
30 years on a regular job for the city.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know you, but see, you weren't traveling like a dancer,
No. But I traveled though.
What about like the person that's out there and was able to leave? Like I'm like you, I was working, but for him, I thought that was incredible. And I appreciate that a lot of us didn't rely on just dancing, and that's why they got musicians here. We got other people here. We got a boxing coach here. We got a t-shirt guy here. We got a guy that worked for the city for 30 years, and me worked for retail and had my own company forever. So it's all about just do a little everything. But my first love is dancing.
I just want to say I had opportunity to keep going overseas. A lot of my, peers, the guys like Skeet and different people, they kept going.
Yeah,
But I chose, because I had something to fall back on my art. My 2 daughters, Brianna and Kaylee, were born. So I said, I want to stay here and be the father. So what happened is as they grew, then Papa, my daughter started saying, "Go, Dad, just get out of here."
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Well, I'm similar to you. When my kids got grown, I moved on too. I got property down in Atlanta, real estate, and also, you know, I've done movies. I produced plays with Denzel Washington in it. Also, I was in the beginning of Martin Lawrence's career. He was in my play. He was in a play called Homies that we did over in West LA. And I introduced him to Tommy Ford, the guy that he took with him
Skip.
to the Martin show.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I love Skip. I've known him so long.
I love all you guys.
Wait. I'm going like, all this that you told us in the beginning about other things, Shalimar and Soul Train.
Yeah.
You didn't tell us all about that
You
stuff.
didn't mention this.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what I asked you to come on. I said, look,
Yes.
see, Don is a part of your
Now
life.
you gotta do part 2.
Yeah, I
Part
know. See, because now you're telling us, oh, I did this and that. I would have said that when we went around, but you know, but that's what I was asking for.
You
I
wanted the
know-
beginning, though. You wanted the
know.
beginning.
No, I wanted your story, your life from then to now.
That was my story
Those
too.
guys did. They did the same thing. They told me their stories till now. And I'm only telling you because I love you.
I love you.
But right on, bro. But anyways, guys, this is good. This is one of the first times that I got a chance to like only do, because normally I want to do 2 hours. I have gone 3.5 hours with guys. So this is good. We're stopping at 2 hours. I can't believe it. Thank you. And I love you all. And I appreciate it. And much respect to you all. And if you guys ever in LA, if I can ever do anything, you know, while you're here, the ones that's not here, I'm that person. You guys know that people from different countries, they know if they come and ask me, I'll show them around, whatever it takes. So, and I'm that person.
I might take you up on that.
Yeah.
I
No, if you ever come, please say hi. You know, please.
I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting for the Alpha and Deputy Christmas party, right? Coming
Oh,
up.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. We got to do that. That's an invitation that we've been talking about. So we got to do that. Everybody keeps saying, you got to do this. You got to, because that's all we used to do. It was a Deputy and Alpha promotions, and we did for at least 10 years.
We can do it outside and wear a mask. It's okay.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we can.
Hey, guys.
And before you leave Alpha, the guys that I don't have on Facebook, like Anthony and Damien and Ace Rock, hit me up, man, because I don't usually allow anyone on my Facebook, and I've met you or talked to you or know you. Now I know you. It's cool. I've had Alpha knows I've turned down a ton of dancers from Japan, Korea, because they know Alpha. If I don't know you, I just don't accept you. I have to talk to you. So since I know you guys now, please hit me up on Facebook.
We're no deputy. You just don't want the police to catch you. You know, so you're real picky.
Yeah.
Same here. And you guys are all a part of me.
That's what I know.
You're all a part of me.
All right, you guys. I love you all. Much respect. Thank you. And I will stay in touch. And you guys, if anybody out there, if you're thinking that I'm ignoring you by having you come on, you can go to alphastreetdanceroots.com and leave your name and let me know who you are and your nickname or whatever. And I will consider having you on the show. It's not that I'm like just picking. People are telling me who I should choose. It's not that, you know, Hugo was one of the ones, and of course, that I just automatically wanted to come on because I got all of the, you know, Pete was on here, so you know, so we got to get the main. Gerardo's here next week, so got to get my brothers, you know. So, but anyone else, you guys just hit me up, please. Okay. Peace out. Wear masks. Stay safe. Thank you guys. Okay. Really appreciate it.
Dark Productions Hollywood, VTS 011.
Throw those commercials out there, please. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Yes.
Peace.